you're looking to dive into topics on how to live a happier, healthier, more fit, and long lifespan, then you've come to the right podcast. Livin the Dream with me, Coach Damian Evans. Together, we will explore the topics on all things health, fitness, and wellness. Together, we will be lifelong learners on this journey to living the ultimate dream. What up, Dream Team? Coach D here, coming at you from beautiful sunny San Diego. And in today's episode, it's the holiday season. Yeah, oh man, is magic in the air. If you're listening to this episode when it drops, then you're probably still feeling the after effects of your Thanksgiving feast. I hope your experience was everything that you wanted and more. But with the holiday season also comes a lot of challenges when it comes to your health. Americans, we are mostly sedentary throughout our normal days. 90% of the average American's day is spent inside, 90% inside. And the holidays are times where we typically get outside even less and move even less than our normal days. Added on top of that, extra energy intake in the form of delicious, sometimes not so nutritious food in high over-the-top portions, compounded with the fact that a lot of us are consuming more alcohol than usual. Man, this is the holy trinity of fat gain. In our history, we've never been inside more. We've never had access to such delicious, highly palatable, highly caloric dense foods. And over the holidays, this trend seems to increase for most of us. 80% of Americans, both adults and youth, are not meeting the recommended daily movement guidelines to hold off chronic disease. And notice that I didn't say to be optimal. I said the bare minimum to hold off chronic diseases like diabetes, obesity, high blood pressure, cognitive decline. The list goes on. 80% of us not meeting the minimum recommendations. And over the holidays, the numbers seem to go even higher. During the pandemic, adolescents spent more than 7 hours on a screen. And we're still seeing some of the residual effects from that. And I'm pretty sure that we're going to continue to see them for many years to come. There are a lot of things going against our health these days, compounded by the craziness over the last couple years. We see this deviation of behavior change going in the wrong direction over the holidays because most of us decide that we're going to start fresh over the new year. When it turns January 1st, we're going to magically all of a sudden be able to completely change our established habits and our routines, and we're going to somehow become Jack LaLanne or Michelle Obama or something. Why are we so silly when it comes to this? And I, myself, even do it most years when it comes to things that I struggle with the most. What makes January 1st so special? It's not like the earth knows that it hit another year around the sun and it's like, whoa, we got a little out of hand there at the end of that last cycle. Let's go ahead and reel this thing back in and get it back on track. Researchers have studied New Year's resolutions, and what they found is that the physical effects of the holidays are lingering indefinitely, meaning that we never really make up for the lack of movement. We never really make up for the increase of energy intake or excess consumption of the ultra-processed and highly palatable foods. Yeah, a lot of us do get back on track during the beginning of next year, but most of us never make up for the damage done over the holiday months. The yearly average weight gain that comes with us getting a year older, it's not because we're aging. It isn't because our metabolism is slowing down from aging. The numbers seem to show that it's actually the effects of us having one more sedentary holiday season under our belt. So said another way, getting back on the fitness wagon can help us get back to our fitness baseline, but it's not dealing with the deficit of movement that happened over the last 3 months of the year. With all that being said, our past holiday rituals do not have to be our future holiday rituals. We can have our metaphorical and actual pie and eat it too. I've always said that there are many buckets of health, not just your physical health and how your body is healthy, not just your nutritional health and how your diet is healthy, but also your social health, spiritual health, emotional health. The list goes on. Holidays are meant to be enjoyed with the people that you love. They are a special occasion that deserves some sort of adjustment from your average day. You're filling many other buckets of your health over the holiday season. But if you'd like to be around long enough to experience a few more holiday seasons on the earth, then it seems like something needs to change. We are sacrificing our health span at the end of our lives, and even sometimes much earlier than that. We're sacrificing it for indulgence and overconsumption. It's instant gratification with lack of foresight. It's a tough combo for our health in the long run. And look, I'm not the Scrooge who ruined your holiday pumpkin pie. I'm not the Grinch who stole your holiday stuffing. I'm saying the holidays are meant to be enjoyed with the people that you love, and you should definitely not be stressed over those days when they come. And the focus of the season should be to fill other buckets of health. But the way that we are currently doing it is taking us down the wrong road, and it's getting us to a point where it's a little scary. So with a few tweaks here and there to some of our favorite family holiday traditions, we may find that we've actually been a little lazy with what we've been doing and have actually been missing out on some really life-fulfilling memories with the people that we care about the most, while also considering the health of those loved ones and yourself. See, having your pie and eating it too. But before we get into the topic of the day, I want to start by thanking the sponsors of this podcast. This podcast is brought to you by Eat the Frog Fitness. Eat the Frog Fitness is one of the most personalized group fitness experiences that you'll ever find. All Frog Squad members are assessed every 8 weeks to see and track progress. The programming is backed by science-based periodization, which means that your sessions are designed to progress your intensity over time, as well as having programmed in recovery weeks. Check out any of the Eat the Frog Fitness locations in Southern California, and if you mention the Livin the Dream podcast, you receive your first 2 training sessions complimentary. Another one of our sponsors is the music app Brain.fm. Use Brain.fm's functional music, and it's going to help you relax, focus, meditate, and sleep better using cutting-edge neuroscience to get the results that you're after. I used Brain.fm app for years before I partnered with them, and I truly believe in their product. I use it anytime that I'm creating an episode for this podcast, and I also listen to their deep sleep music every single night. My Oura Ring, it tracks my sleep data, and the difference is noticeable. Download the app on your app store and use the discount code CoachDamian_SD and try the app for a free month and a discount off of your first month if you decide to continue with your subscription. And this week's 5-star review comes from Ali Bobali 92. I love it. Ali says, "Great info. I always feel so inspired after listening to this podcast. Thank you for taking such a complex topic as health and making it understandable for the average person. I really enjoy the actionable tips at the end of each episode that I can implement into my life." Dude, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Ali, for your kind words and support. If everyone else would do me a favor, if you haven't already, while you're listening to this episode, if you haven't subscribed yet, please take a second to subscribe to the podcast, which will allow you to get notifications anytime that I release an episode. But it also shows more people that this podcast is worth a listen. Then you can maybe scroll down and leave a 5-star review if you feel that I've earned it. We read every single one, and we appreciate the love and feedback. And now on to the topic of the day. The holidays mean many different things to all different types of people. Growing up, my mom, she was the definition of, quote, a holiday person. She absolutely loves the festivities. She loves decorating and making a huge event out of whatever it is. She would always get us these huge, absurdly huge Easter baskets and huge stockings. And she would go to like dollar stores and she would just fill these huge human-sized stockings full of little tiny toys and trinkets. And it made us think that the Easter Bunny and the Santa Claus were real for probably far longer than we should have, but she was totally into it. I bet you know someone in your life that is a quote-unquote holiday person too. Some people are really into it, right? They love the individual differences between the holidays and they sit there and they argue if it's either still pumpkin spice season or if it's time to get ready to decorate the tree. Some love the aspect of giving and receiving gifts. Others love the season because it means that they get together with the family and they don't get to see their family very often, so that's special for them. But it's also important to note that some people don't love the holiday. Some people see it as a season to be fearful, whether the fear is because it's health-based when it comes to gaining weight, or maybe it's a disdain for having to host parties for your in-laws, or maybe it's the stress of being able to afford presents for your little ones. Some people don't have family to celebrate the holidays with, so the holidays end up being more of a lonely reminder of what they lack. The holidays, they mean many different things for all different types of people. And I feel like this is an important nuance that we should address before we get into all of this, because as we talk about the secret to having a happy, healthy holiday season, of course, as with everything that we talk about, it's going to depend on the person. It's going to depend on the person's goals, on the way that they interpret the stresses that they experience of the season. It depends on the person's environment and on their social circle, on their average lifestyle behaviors when it's not the holiday season. We can give tip after hack after strategy. And yes, in certain situations, they could be game changers for some people. In other situations, they could not be helpful or effective at all. So this specific episode is going to be geared towards those that struggle with overconsumption over the holidays. Those that feel that their holiday season is the time where they really go off the rails with their health goals. For those who have kind of struggled with putting on unhealthy body fat over the holidays. And for those who care about what their body composition looks like and how they look and their overall health and how they feel. And know that some of the things that they do over the holidays don't usually match these health goals. So that's kind of who we're talking to right now. So over the last few months, I've been listening to podcasts and health experts, and I've really been focusing on healthy holidays. What follows is a bunch of ideas and messages from some of my favorite podcast follows. And we're going to start it off strong with one of our favorite biomechanists, Katie Bowman. And Katie wrote a bunch of books, such as Move Your DNA, Grow Wild, Simple Steps to Foot Pain Relief, and Movement Matters, and a bunch more. Katie is so passionate about movement. She likes to correlate how movement and nutrition are super similar. So much so that she named her brand Nutritious Movement. I love that. From her website, she wrote, "We don't yet understand what movement is. Solving a problem first requires thoroughly understanding of the problem. But movement is complex. One reason a solution to the inactivity crisis has proven so elusive to us is the use of language that is very general or non-specific or therefore ineffective. The solution lies in understanding the nuances of movement." And she had this really beautiful thing written on her website. "Movement, like food, is not optional. Ailments you may be experiencing are simply symptoms of movement hunger in response to a movement diet that is dangerously low in the terms of quantity and also poor in terms of quality, meaning you aren't getting the full spectrum of movement nutrition necessary for a baseline human function." Right there is poetry in motion to my ears. Super fascinating to think about and so on point in my opinion. So let's hear what Katie recommended to her audience in a recent Move Your DNA podcast episode titled Celebrate 11 Steps to Cozy, Joyful, and Dynamic Holidays. And the list starts off with a very obvious tip, but actually kind of challenging to implement. Okay, so I know we all have our traditions and we work really hard up until the holidays. So sometimes all that we want to do is just sit on the couch. All we want to do is just watch sports or Christmas classics and just finally relax. And I get it. I really do. You should have seen some of my past Christmas celebrations. They involved never changing out of my pajamas, never not having some sort of food or drink in front of me, rarely taking my eyes off the basketball or football game, and doing that whole thing until I went to bed in the same pajamas that night. Yeah, yummy, I know. Bask in the image of that for a second. But that was before I had all the information that I have now, or before I really cared, to be honest. If you're worried about your health, if past holiday seasons and celebrations have taken you way off course of your health goals, then your goal is to, when the next holiday comes, you got to move some of your normal traditions outside. And this will do a few things. You will increase your movement, of course. You're going to increase your outdoor time, the sun that you're going to get, the fresh air, the dirt, the nature time, all that good stuff. And yes, this even matters in places where you don't get such awesome weather as, let's say, San Diego. Firstly, it's kind of your fault that you live where you live. I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. I understand that there's reasons to be in different places. And I also understand that every climate has its pros and cons. Every climate has its challenges and benefits. As an example, for me, I pay hundreds of dollars a year on cryotherapy and cold plunges and this kind of stuff. When some people over in Minnesota, they're looking at me like an idiot because all they have to do is they have to jump in a lake right by their house for free 99, my favorite price. Sometimes the things that we see as obstacles, bad weather, can actually be beneficial to us if we get a little creative, and to a certain extent, of course. But yes, getting outside is a huge tip. Move your TV into the garage. There's more action out there instead of just sitting in front of a TV in your living room. Or move a speaker with some Christmas music into the backyard. Or you could get a fire going and hang around that, depending on where you live. Or put out some fun yard games. Or grab sleds and go sledding on the nearest hill. These are incredible ideas to bring a brand new twist to your old traditions. You might also get your community involved, your neighborhood. When the neighbors see you all out there being merry and having fun, like-minded neighbors may also join in on the trend. One time back when I was younger, this was actually how we ended up creating an entire neighborhood snowball fight. Can you imagine that? A whole neighborhood snowball fight. It was awesome. Moving outside, you're also meeting multiple needs at once. And this is what we talk about all the time on this podcast, stacking your time. Her next tip was to make your holiday prep fun, which can really help with stress management. So when you're wrapping your presents, when you're decorating your house, when you're planning events or games, this could entail that when you're looking for decorations, instead of going to the store, maybe you could forage for your decorations. Find centerpieces made out of leaves and pine cones or beautiful flowers. All decorations don't need to be store-bought. How cool would it feel walking into your house knowing that you didn't consume and buy a bunch of fake plastic stuff just to decorate your home? You actually spent quality time with your household, discovering things that really spoke to you outside. You could also walk to get your groceries for your celebration. And I really like this one when I heard it. I know it's super basic, but it brought back memories for me. When I was young and it got close to Halloween time, my parents, they would take us kids to the pumpkin patch. And they said that I could only get a pumpkin big enough that I could carry by myself. So if it was too big to carry, then I couldn't have it. That was such a cool way to match my desire with realism. It got us to move a lot, and it helped me with my independence. And they did the same thing for Christmas tree shopping, except for we all could carry it. That was pretty cool. So walk as much as you can is the moral of the story when it comes to getting your groceries or anything like that for celebrations. Next, you could make your own holiday ornaments, candles, decorations. My mom used to bring out big tubs of ornaments. Her thing was that every Christmas she would buy my brother and I a bunch of ornaments. And by the time that we were in our teens, we had a ton, like a whole bunch of boxes. She would bring out the big tubs and we would open it up. We would unwrap all the ornaments and then we would put them on the tree. But now that I'm thinking about this, what if you did that, but somehow you added more steps to the equation? What if the tubs were, let's say, in the garage? So you had to walk the ornaments one by one or two by two. Whoever gets to the tree first gets first dibs on where the ornaments go. Because I always wanted the top and I always wanted the front. I don't know, that probably says something about me. You could create an arts and crafts hour with your family and you could actually make ornaments. And maybe you do that in a room that's away from the tree. And every time someone finishes an ornament, they can walk it to the tree. And these are just some random ideas for decorating, but maybe you can spin that to something that matches you and what you guys do. Another idea from this episode was to plan a hiking adventure. Or what if you did like a scavenger hike where someone that's really creative in your family could put a bunch of clues together. You have these clues, you follow them all around. And then at the end, you finish with a fun little hangout around a fire in the backyard. And the kids can recover from their hike with some hot cocoa or some s'mores or whatever is appropriate. And the adults could have their hot toddies. That sounds like a blast. Another thing you could do if you had someone that's really creative is you could make your own advent calendar. It makes me think of when my mom, she would get all of us boys, advent chocolate calendars when we were little. And every day we would look forward to opening this little tiny cardboard door that had the number of the day on it. And it would unlock a new yummy chocolate treat. But now think, what if you did this with a little movement twist? It would definitely take a little more planning, but, and I'm just spitballing here, what if you and your spouse and your kids, you designed each other's advent calendar? And instead of opening up the day and finding a chocolate, maybe you put a clue to where the chocolate is hidden around the house. and then you have to search and you have to go find it. Or maybe it's more simple and you just have to earn the chocolate as you do a task, whatever the task is, like an exercise or a movement, or go and do an act of random kindness for someone, or maybe a chore. And I know some of you are rolling your eyes right now and saying, this guy does not have kids. And I get it, sort of. How about this? I saw one lady on Instagram had a wine advent calendar. This was a giant, huge box that was the size of your wall. And every day she opened up and it was a nice bottle of wine each day. Is that more your speed? I don't know. I'm just throwing ideas out there to get your wheels turning. Think about it. Some other ideas were to organize a winter physical game night that can become traditional. For Thanksgiving, all my high school friends, we used to get together and do an annual turkey bowl where usually at least 2 people pulled a muscle, and once where I dislocated a finger going for a ball way too seriously for the occasion. But that's just how the turkey bowl was. It's something that we look forward to every year. And I know other people that have a family basketball horse tournament that's just as competitive, and they play horse, and it's like something they talk about all year long. And I've seen other awesome families that they've created a beer game Olympics. So they have like 5 or 6 different games and they're constantly playing, and they have a whole bracket and everything. It's crazy. I know that's not super healthy, but that was movement in there. When I watched them doing that stuff, it was movement and the entertainment was off the charts. So it's definitely called balance when it comes to this kind of stuff. And I think that's where I'm going to leave it right there with Katie's stuff. She had a bunch of good ideas, but that was just some of my favorite ones that I read. Okay, let's move on to another amazing resource. And this is for all things fitness and health related. It's a podcast called Mind Pump. And Mind Pump is made up of 4 guys, Adam, Sal, Justin, and their producer, Doug. And these guys are an entertaining group of experienced personal trainers. And they literally have years worth of really good information. They drop 5 episodes a week. I think if you started listening right now, you'd still never catch up. But they have an episode on pretty much anything you could think about. And in their most recent social media post, they posted a meme that had tips for the holidays. And I'm going to quickly read that list, and then I'm going to move on to some of my personal additions to some of these points. So this is a post that was labeled 8 holiday hacks to prevent fat gain. Number 1 was bring a healthy dish. Number 2, organize family physical activity. Number 3 is fast before the holiday meal and after. Fast. Number 4 was prioritize essential macronutrients. So they talked about a specific macronutrient. And then number 5 was be present. Number 6, wait 15 minutes before you get seconds. Number 7 was invite your family for a nice walk after dinner. And then number 8 is politely decline unnecessary leftovers. And they added a bonus one that was manage your alcohol consumption. So those are pretty good. Bring a healthy dish, organize family physical activity, fast before the holiday meal and after, prioritize essential macronutrients, definitely be present, wait 15 minutes before you get seconds, invite your family for a nice walk after dinner, politely decline unnecessary leftovers, which is really hard in my opinion, and then manage your alcohol consumption. Okay, so moving on to my personal twist. And 2 years ago, we released an episode called The Holy Trinity of Fat Gain, talking about how during the holidays, not only do we consume extra calories, but we consume them in an ultra-processed, highly palatable food way. And then we also move less. So 3 things that really contribute to the fat gain over the holidays. This was the Holy Trinity that we're trying to avoid. And we offered 13 tips for the holidays that I learned from a handful of experts. And it kind of corresponds to what the Mind Pump guys were talking about as well. So let's talk through 13 tips here that I came up with. Number 1 is be active, especially post large meals. So anytime you have a large meal, be active. And 10-minute breaks, even anything, it all adds up here. So take whatever your sedentary family tradition is and add a little bit of movement to it. Is your tradition about watching TV? Okay, well then bring it into a room where there are activities to participate in while the TV is playing. Maybe it's a garage, maybe it's out back, maybe it's in the man cave, whatever it is. Are you drinking? Okay, well then have fun to-go cups or thermoses with a lid that people can carry around with them while they participate in the festivities and they have their beverage. Are you wrapping presents, right? You can't move a whole lot when you're wrapping presents, so maybe you stretch. You do your mobility with your family while you're wrapping presents, or you take frequent movement snacks so that you can get the flow back to your leg. You make sure you move those legs if you're in a sedentary position for too long. Are you playing a card game? Well, maybe you add a rule that involves some sort of movement, maybe an iso squat, or maybe something where you have to run around the table, or something where you have to do some push-ups if you do the rule wrong. For example, we played a game called Spoons when I was younger. And if you lost, you had to run around the kitchen island in a certain way and a certain amount of time, or else you lost an additional point. We also used to play Flip Cup, which I know is a college drinking game, but my family made it more family, I guess. And the losers had to rotate around the table while the winners, they spout a demoralizing victory chant. It was all in fun, of course, but there was a lot of movement if you looked at this game. The next point is really important when it comes to this tip. If you're already the fitness person in your family, like if your family knows you're the fitness person, you're going to get a bunch of people rolling their eyes at you if after the big meal you say, hey, let's go for a 10-minute walk for some exercise after eating all this food. You have to realize that when you're communicating with some people that may not be on the same page as you, it's always more about how you say what you're trying to say and with the intention that you're trying to say it with, more than it is about the actual action or suggestion that you're trying to suggest. And I'm saying this obviously because I've experienced it. So here's my example. 2 different years, the same scenario. The first year I said, hey, let's go for a walk, 10-minute walk to get some exercise after eating all this. And I got crickets. Actually, I got a couple of middle fingers and some eye rolls, and someone I think chugged a beer in my face. But with my family, those are all gestures of love. The next year I said, hey guys, I'm going to go down to the creek. We live in the country. I'm going to go down by the creek and I'm going to stretch my legs a little bit and get some fresh air. Does anyone want to grab a beverage and join me? Same action, sort of. Request phrased in a different way. Exact opposite results. Everybody wanted to go down there and hang out. And it ended up being a really cool memory. And I actually got some drone footage of us kind of hanging all out in the backyard. And I still look at it because my grandma's on it, which was really cool. But don't make it about exercise. Don't make it about fitness. Fitness is hard and it's boring and it's not what you do on the holidays. What the hell? It's the holiday, man. Why are you trying to fitness right now? And I get it. Instead, make it about a change of scenery. Make it about another way to try to connect with your people, your loved ones. Make it fun. Make it interesting. It's not exercise and we're not doing it for fitness, but this is going to help us in the long run and you're actually going to feel better. The buy-in from your crew is just going to be much higher this way. Okay, number 1, move. Number 2, snack wisely. Try to eat regular meals because skipping meals is going to lead to overeating. If you're someone that likes to save up, which I've done this before, I'm not innocent here, so you can save up so you can have as much room for the big feast, you're likely to overconsume past the point of what's acceptable for this occasion. If you're gonna snack, eat a protein-packed snack. And Dr. Ben Bickman gave a really super good analogy that I think works here. He said that, what if I invited you to this party? And at this party, there was going to be every single one of your favorite foods and your drinks. And it was going to be cooked and prepared by the world's best chefs. And here's the kicker. You could eat as much as you wanted. You could gobble all of it until you wobbled. What would you do? Well, most people would answer, I wouldn't eat anything all day to make sure that I had as much room as possible. So I might even exercise a little bit to make myself a little hungry. Eat less, move more. Ironically, this was the old adage and advice to losing weight, but that would for sure make you hungry, right? So you could gorge yourself at this magnificent imaginary meal. So your goal is to snack wisely so this doesn't happen. Choose high protein, high fiber foods that are going to keep those mechanoreceptors in your stomach aware that food is plentiful today. There's no need to binge. There's no need to go crazy. We got this. Number 3, watch your portion sizes. This one is as important as it is hard to navigate. When you're standing in front of this beautiful spread that you've been looking forward to for months and months now, and you have this empty plate in front of you, it would take the most disciplined mind to not go ham. And not literal ham, but go ham, hard as a and start shoveling mountain tall portions, filling up every inch of that plate so that no white remains to be seen. And you know it's the American way to clean the plate No scraps left behind. So if you grab a ton of food, right off the bat, you're setting yourself up for an eventual feeling of being overstuffed, wanting more, but you can't move off the couch. You're disappointed that you didn't leave room for this special dish that's, your favorite food that you had, and now you can't have it because you're so uncomfortably full. And again, let the food settle a little bit. Once you have your first serving, let it sit for 15 minutes before you go get the next plateful and enjoy smaller portions. Practice mindful eating is number 4. Practice mindful eating. And this is really important. Put your utensils down in between bites. Notice the texture of the food that you're eating, the unique flavors. Notice the presentation. Someone worked really hard and put in work to prepare this food for you. If you're shoveling in another bite before your mouth is even empty, you're not eating for the experience. You're literally just competing for how much food you can put into your body before your body begs for mercy. The better you chew your food, the better it's going to be absorbed, so chew your food. And the faster you eat, the more likely it is that you're going to experience indigestion. And soon after is going to be that overstuffed, bloated, uncomfortable feeling of regret and shame. That's not what the holidays are about. Practice mindful eating. Number 5, get plenty of sleep. Man, sleep is everywhere in every list. If you've been listening to this podcast for any amount of time, you know how much we recommend getting good quality sleep. This will impact everything. During the holidays, we tend to overconsume. We drink a little extra alcohol, maybe a lot. We are socializing nonstop. We're creating a lot of stress on the mind, the body, the brain. It is so important to give the body time to balance out. And sleep can mitigate a lot of the negative health consequences that we see. But you also have to remember, eating too close to bedtime could negatively impact your sleep. Drinking alcohol anytime, but especially close to bedtime, drinking alcohol could impact your sleep. Excessive stress, so stress about getting gifts for your people, about plans that you have to have, about in-laws coming, about hosting parties, all the stresses, good and bad, those affect your sleep. Prioritize sleep and plan in your schedule balanced out quiet time breaks throughout your day as well. There's going to be a lot going on. Maybe you could do a quick 3-minute meditation, maybe a quick 5-minute sit outside in nature, maybe a time where you can go just quickly jot down in a journal and listen to some calm music. All of these can help balance out the fun craziness of the holidays, let's say. And now when in between holidays, you should also be extra dialed in on your sleep. There's no excuses, as it's one of the biggest levers that you can pull to find balance at the end of the year. And when your sleep quality and quantity isn't optimal, you know it's like taking a wrecking ball to all the other pillars of health. No matter how dialed in those other pillars might be, sleep seems to trump it all. Number 6, and on a very similar note, control your stress levels. This also means no guilt when you do enjoy your favorite holiday dishes, in moderation, of course. And we just did a masterclass episode on the 3rd pillar of total wellness, stress management. So if you feel like this is a place where you could grow, then definitely go back and listen to that episode. That was just a few episodes ago before this one. And if you need it, DM me and I can send you the direct link. You got to listen to that if you need a little bit of help and guidance on controlling your stress levels. It was a good one. Number 7, keep your meals balanced with protein. And if it's animal protein, just go nuts. It's fine. Have as much as you want. But remember, a lot of the time we eat protein, we either smother it with gravy and sauces and all the things. That's not protein. Usually those gravies and sauces, that's carbs and fats and added sugar and whatever else. Those are fine in moderation, especially if it's your special favorite dish. But for this tip that I'm talking about protein by itself. Turkey, dark and light meat, ham, ribs. If you want, keep your meals balanced with protein and go at it when it comes to the protein. My family used to make fun of me because when I was at Thanksgiving, my very first dish every single Thanksgiving would just be a plate full of meat, nothing else. And they always thought that was a little odd, but you know what? It worked. Number 8, focus on fiber. Eat your greens, your salads, and your veggies. Eat your fiber first. Think color. Colorful, real whole foods. Not only do they make a festive looking plate, but they're most likely great for your health. These should be the first food items eaten off your plate after protein or right. You could actually do this before protein if you wanted to. And this is if your goal is to mitigate the total amount of food that you're eating and control weight gain. So fiber and lean meats. Number 9, limit your liquid calories, especially in your alcohol mixers. If I could rank the number one thing you could do in order to limit your excess consumption of energy, it would be this. Sodas, juices. No, you are probably already know how I feel about them. You got to cut the sodas and the juices out. They aren't special, and there's plenty of other ways to get a nice drink. Number 10, eat on smaller plates. And this is a game changer, and it can also help with your portion control. Scientific studies back up this tip, so try it out and see if it works for you and your goals. Smaller plates, and it's going to help with your portion control and your behavior. Number 11, use the buddy system. Many people report success with their weight loss goals or their weight management goals when they have a partner to pursue them with. So try to find a health buddy who has similar goals. As this person can help keep you motivated over the holidays, they can help keep you accountable over the holidays. Reach out to your friends, your family, and your colleagues to connect with someone who would make a good fit for you. A strong support system may be, in my opinion, one of the largest positive factors towards achieving your health and fitness goals. And if you can't find anyone who has similar goals as you, then you can actually kind of broadcast your goal to your network. You can do this in a non-annoying way, but you can let people know, like, this is my goal and this is what I want to do, and here's my mindset going into the holidays. And that should minimize some of the peer pressure that may come from declining a certain food or drink. And it also holds you a little bit accountable. So kind of like putting it out there. Number 12, plan ahead and draw the line. Plan ahead and draw the line. Plan ahead. This kind of ties in a bunch of tips that we've already talked about, but with a game plan twist. Don't skip meals on your party days. Have that game plan. Unfortunately, this is going to make you hungrier and make you make worse decisions when the big meal times come. Eat whole foods up until the event. So have a game plan with what that looks like. Prioritize your protein, prioritize your veggies, and get your portion control under control. Understand what kind of sizes you're going to use. Like plan ahead, draw the line at what that looks like. Planning ahead can go a long way towards preventing holiday weight gain. If you have parties on the calendar, well, then ask what foods will be served there, or bring your own healthy dish so that you have something to eat. Decide what and how much you're going to eat ahead of time and kind of hold yourself to it. If you're someone that likes to track calories or track the amount of food you're eating, it can also be helpful to gather a list of holiday healthy recipes so that you don't run out of ideas when you do need to bring a dish to a party. And a little side note here, when it comes to holiday parties and going to different parties, depending on what kind of parties you go to, a good tip is to eat a healthy whole food meal right before you go. Otherwise, you're just going to snack on all the things when you're there. You're going to have a table full of snacks, and that's all you're going to do the whole time. And I know this is kind of a taboo thing to say in the days of body love and body image, but I've heard clients tell me that they've used a tip where they say that they don't wear loose-fitting clothes. They dress up in something more form-fittings because that means that they don't want a food baby sticking out, and it helps them make better portion control decisions when they're there. Drink flavored or sparkling water in between each alcoholic drink. So maybe your game plan is you have an alcoholic drink and then you have a sparkling water, or maybe something with lemon or cucumber, low to 0 calories, but something for your taste buds and something for you to have in your hand while socializing. That's important. A lot of people at formal parties, they tend to overdrink because they want something in their hand when they're standing around and socializing. Who says that there has to be alcohol in every single one of those drinks? During the holiday season, many people have an all start tomorrow mentality. I'm just going to start tomorrow, which can end up prolonging unhealthy habits. But if you're serious about controlling your weight or managing your health over the holidays, it may be helpful to draw the line, set limits for yourself, and stick to your goals regarding food intake. It's totally okay to say no to certain foods and habits that don't align with your goals. It's also important to be aware that you might have a slip up or two. Let me rephrase that. You're going to have a slip up or two. If you don't have a slip up or two, you're in the minority. It happens. People often abandon their goals after this happens. However, it's best to simply move on and make a healthier choice the next time that you eat. Balance. One day of unhealthy eating will not derail you. It's when you compound multiple days of unhealthy eating in excess and little to no movement where you become trapped in the holy trinity of fat gain. The goal is to not string 2 in a row. You got to create a streak of good days that match your goals. And if you have one day that doesn't, then notate that, understand what happened and why it happened, and just move on. Start a new streak where you're going to beat your old one. It's you versus you. Life is about balance. If you know that you're going to be eating in excess and you're going to be increasing the fuel that you put into your body, then you got to adjust and move more to burn that fuel. But you got to do it in the right way. If you know that you're going to be overindulging on one day, then set yourself up before and after that day to balance out that excess calories and excess lack of movement. The body works great when you vary up your calorie intakes, but it also only works great if you do your movement to match. Does this mean that you need to punish yourself for what you did that day? Definitely not. And I'm going to address this in just a second. You should not be punishing yourself for eating in excess. But let's finish up this list before I go into that. Lastly, number 13, stay hydrated and drink lots of water. There's not much more to add to this, but carry around a water bottle at all times, continually sip on it. I shoot myself for at least a gallon a day, but everyone is a little different here. Remember that I'm 6'3" and I have a very active lifestyle where I sweat a lot. So obviously my water needs are going to be different than someone else. But a general rule of thumb is to take your body weight in pounds and then divide that number by 2. That should be your minimum goal for ounces of water to drink in a day. So a 150-pound person, the goal is 75 ounces of water a day. That's a little over a half gallon, so that's pretty good. So hopefully that list of 13 tips was helpful and you got a few good ideas from it. But let's circle back real quick to the punishing yourself thing for eating. I wanted to share a tip from Dr. Jade Teta. He had an interesting suggestion on one of his holiday episodes, and his strategy was called Move, Feast, and Fast. And so this was kind of for the fitness person that wanted to maximize the excess calories that they were going to be using. And you can actually use this kind of quote unquote bulking day in your favor. So check this out. Move extra the day before the event. We're going to talk about what type of training that you can do to really maximize your results here, but move a little extra the day before your feast. Prioritize movement and add a little bit of extra movement right the day before. Then feast the day of the event. Enjoy. Stop stressing and just be present and in the moment. Of course, there's a line between enjoying and eating like a complete a-hole, but just the biggest thing here is to enjoy your holiday as it was meant to be enjoyed with the people that you care about. So you have move, you have feast, and then you have fast. And then fast the day after the event. Lower your calories to around 50% of your average day and eat a bunch of protein and vegetables that day. Remember, it's so important to realize that any fast movement on the scale is most likely not going to be body fat. It's not going to be muscle mass either. It's either water, sodium, inflammation. There's a lot of things that it could be. And I want to add that water retention is not always bad. This is another topic for another time because creatine gets a bad name because it creates water retention, but it pulls water into the cells that need to be pulled into. So just realize that it takes a long time to create large amounts of fat tissue and an even longer amount of time to make muscle tissue. Trust me, it takes a long time. Don't freak out if the scale jumps around in the short term. Here's an example of move, feast, and fast when it comes to the holiday of Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving is on a Thursday. So let's go through the week. Monday, eat like you normally would. Tuesday, get a workout in and maybe try to consume most of your carbohydrates before and after your workout. About the same amount of food as you normally eat, just try to get your carbohydrates before and after your workout. And then Wednesday comes. This is the day before the feast. This is where we move. And on Wednesday, you want to try to have all your meals focused around protein and veggies, along with another nice workout this day. So your meals focused on protein and veggies, and then another workout. And this workout should be about lifting big compound lifts. This is something that's going to kind of shock the body here. You want to choose exercises that hit many muscle groups and large muscle groups. So things like squats and deadlifts, any kind of row or pull-up variation, push-ups, overhead presses, carry something heavy. The idea is that you want to generate a deficit of muscle energy. And then this is going to drive the glucose from the food that you're about to feast on into the muscles to replenish that deficit. So I just want to be super clear that you don't burn off the effects of the food that you just ate. You don't burn it off. I mean, you do burn calories, but you're not going to burn off the amount of food that you ate by doing something in the gym. The gym is good for strength. It's good for skill. It's good for combating longevity. It's good for your mental health. But really, honestly, it doesn't do a whole lot in the short term for the metabolic chaos and inflammation that you're going to cause with a huge holiday feast. The best way to stop that is to start eating in a way that matches your health goals as soon as you can. And you can use exercise, and my preference is resistance training and lifting, but you could also create a deficit with a super long run, I guess. But this doesn't tell your body that you need muscle. So there's a whole nother thing there. But you're trying to prime your body for the energy that you're about to intake. But if your goal is to match calorie for calorie, what you eat so that you can burn it off, I'm gonna get 300 calories of stuffing, so I'm gonna run for 300 calories. I can tell you right now that you're inevitably going to fail with that strategy. Then the day of the feast. Let's talk about Thursday. The day of the feast comes. Thursday, we do some light activity in the morning. I'm talking light. This is going to prime your body to absorb the carbs that you're about to consume into the muscle cells instead of the fat cells. And just, have fun the way that holidays are meant to be enjoyed. Enjoy it. Go for a walk, do some light yoga, do some stretching, enjoy your Thursday. And then Friday comes. Friday, cut your calories to a lower intake and eat just protein and veggies. Avoid doing very intense workouts. This is important. This is what most of us do, right? We've finished the holidays, so we go work out because we want to punish ourselves. Instead, focus on low intensity daily activity. Yoga, hiking, walking, if you go to a group fitness workout, maybe it's a deload week. Maybe you just want to start by moving slow, lightweight, low heart rate stuff. It's like an active recovery day. Very intense workouts are going to be a huge stress to the body, and you don't want to throw tons of added stress on the body after a huge calorie intake day, which is also another form of stress to the body. This is going to be a compound of negative effects, and the rebound effect that your body will most likely experience is going to come after. One of the worst things that you can do after the holiday is completely destroy yourself in the gym to punish yourself for what you did, because this is unhelpful. It's disadvantageous to you in so many ways, bringing us back to not punishing yourselves for what you just did. Just don't punish yourself. It doesn't work. Resist the urge, even if you feel like, quote unquote, you deserve it. Holidays, vacations, special events. These are more than just the calories that you eat. So find the balance in life and enjoy the journey. Experience life with your friends and family the way that holiday was meant to be experienced. Don't let one day or one vacation or one party be the thing that derails all your health and fitness goals. Instead, rephrase your thought process, as this was a time for you to work on your other buckets of health. And when it passes, you can continue on the path that you had established before when it comes to your health and fitness. Stay the course. And of course, reach out to me if you need any help on this. Over-communicate your thoughts with your loved ones, and you're going to find support in your community. And during the holidays, it's inevitable that something's going to come up where there's going to be foods that you're not sure if you should eat it or not, or you kind of play this mental game with yourself, whether it be on a holiday day, during the feast, or just during the breaks in between your holidays, when you're living your day-to-day life, when you're deciding whether to eat a food. Rather than just stressing out about it or beating yourself up for eating it, or whatever your specific situation might be, instead, do what I do. Ask yourself these 3 questions. So, does this unhealthy food item meet these 3 standards? Number 1, is it special? When your coworkers bring store-bought cookies to the break room, as tempting as those are, as you walk past them 100 times a day, those are not special. I don't care what the marketers tell you. For those that have candies on their desk in an enticing bowl that you can just grab anytime you walk by, those are not special. But once a year, If your grandma makes her famous double chocolate chip brownies with the special ingredient and she puts love and time into making those and bringing them, those are special. Are they going to help you with your fitness goals? Yeah, probably not. Are they going to help you with your body composition goals? Most likely not. But you better believe that I'm not passing up on my grandma's brownies because they're special. So number one, is this food item special? Ask yourself. Number two, can you enjoy this with the people that you care about? Can you talk to your family about, oh my gosh, this ingredient, it just pops? Can you take a bite and have the eyes roll back in your head as you compliment the creator on how amazing they did? Can you admire the presentation and hard work put into this specific dish? These are all ways to enjoy this with the people that you care about. Is it special, and can you enjoy it with others? And the third question, will you feel good after eating this? If you're going to feel terrible after eating this item, then that gives you your answer right there. It doesn't matter if this dish is broccoli with Brussels sprouts. It doesn't matter if it's anything. If it doesn't make you feel good, and I mean health good here, not like sugar-induced orgasm good. I'm talking like if you've ever eaten it and you eat it and it destroys you, will you suffer pain physically? Will it negatively impact the next few hours of your day? Then it doesn't matter what food it is. Don't eat it if it's not going to make you feel good. Is it special? Can you enjoy it with others? And will you feel good after eating? If all of those questions are answered yes, then enjoy it without worrying. And in closing, I'd like to hop on a soapbox here and quickly rant if I haven't been doing that already. But we have to stop the waiting for January 1st mindset. And I know I'm including myself in on this as well, but it takes time to get into a routine. It takes time to make it part of your lifestyle. And if anything, you should be using November and December as an onboarding loading ramp to get ready for the big push, January 1st. Think about it. Everyone and their mother is going to be going to the gym in January. This is going to make it harder to find an open machine. This is going to make it more intimidating. This is going to make more obstacles because there's going to be more crowds. And all of this is fine because, yes, we want people starting off their fitness journey. We really want to support these people. However, if you were to not wait for January and use November and December to get used to the equipment, get used to the gym layout, figure out what else can I do if my desired thing is being used, then when January comes, you'll be much better equipped to navigate the madness, and you might even be able to help some newbies that are just starting in January and change some lives by offering your experience. How cool would that be? And I only really say this because I've known people that have gone to the gym and started their New Year's resolution on January, and then they saw how busy it was, and that deterred them from ever coming back. And then everyone had that mindset. So like by March, the gyms were back to normal. So if I could offer any wisdom when it comes to that, I would say try your best to avoid that kind of scenario. Let's kind of paint a picture here. The year 2022 had 365 days. 251 of them were working days. You had 105 weekend days and only 10 federal holidays, 10 holidays out of the year. Let's say you ate as much as you possibly could on all 10 of those holiday days. And then on top of that, let's say once a month, you gorged yourself until you were about to pop on one of those weekend days. So that's what, 22 days. That's still only 6% of your year. 6%. The big picture here is that these holidays are not going to stop you from your fitness goals. It's when you decide that after Halloween comes and you have all that candy, you're done with your health goals and you're getting off track right after Halloween. And you're going to wait until January to hit your resolutions. Instead of 22 days, instead of the 22-day situation that I just presented, that's a 60 plus day, 3 times as much situation. It's not the holidays that are holding us back. It's the time in between the holidays where we don't get back to our normal fitness routines that's hurting us. So the goal, don't string 2 together. Don't string 2 bad days together. Start a streak and try to compete with yourself as to how long you can take that streak. When the streak ends, it will. Start a new streak the next day and beat your last one, you versus you. Take the tips and strategies that were offered in this episode and implement the ones that you really connected with. Be consistent with them, and this is exactly how you're going to have a healthy, happy holiday season. You should take ownership and lead by example for the people in your circle's benefits. You will change their lives, and they're going to ask you what you're doing and how you're doing it if you do it right. It's not easy. It is challenging. If it was easy, we wouldn't be talking about this issue. It's not easy, but it is pretty simple. Happy holidays, Dream Team. Enjoy them as they should be with the people that you care about the most. Reach out to me if you have any questions, and let's finish this year strong. You got this. We don't have to get ready in January because we stay ready over the holiday season. And that's it, my friends, for this week's episode. Each week, we're going to focus on sharing information that will help you with your health, fitness, and wellness journey. Share the knowledge that you gained with your friends, your family, and hold each other accountable. If you enjoyed this content, it helps a ton. If you could post on your social media stories a screenshot of this episode, and maybe add one takeaway, one thing that you learned, and make sure that you tag me and share your journey. Tag me at Livin the Dream _podcast or at Coach Damien _SD. And let us know how this episode benefited you. Let us know what we missed. Let us know what we got wrong. Tell us how you have been successful over the holidays. Message us if you have any suggestions or tips that will help your Livin the Dream team that we can discuss on future episodes. I will be right here with you, working on making us stronger, happier, and healthier humans. Until next time, friends, keep living the dream.